from it. 9 News medical reporter Dr. Stephanie Clements joins us from the 9 Newsroom. And Dr. Steph, that employee is the most critically injured.
Mark, he is. In fact, right after the explosion, witnesses say he was stumbling away on fire from that pump. One witness took off his shirt to stifle his flames.
I worked at this gas station that was a part-time job. And I showed up there and there was a line of cars. And I went in. After I clocked in, she told me, she said, the gas pumps are running really, really slow. Can you change the fuel filters? And I told her, I said, well, I've never done it before. And she said, well, the fuel filters are just like changing your filter on your car. And I said, oh, sure, I can do that. It's no problem. So I went out there and I changed the first filter, put on a new one, nothing. Pump's still running really, really slow. And I went to change the next fuel filter and it was under pressure. And it shouldn't have been. And I cracked it and it was spewing gas everywhere. I was covered in gasoline from head to toe. I reached back in to turn it off so it would shut the gas off, and it would not shut the gas off. It just kept coming out, and when I reached in there, kaboom, it blew up. And it lifted me about 5 foot off the ground, and I come back down on my feet, and I looked down and I was in a big ball of flame and started rolling across the parking lot. I was yelling and screaming, put me out, put me out, put me out. And I had 5 guys bail on me and start beating me with their coats. And when I come to from rolling so much, I looked down and I could see hide just hanging off my hands and my arms and my face. I noticed I didn't have much of a shirt on. My hat was melted to my head. They put me on flight for life to Denver to the University Hospital. And when I landed, I remember them wheeling me down to the burn unit. And they put me on this table and this lady looked at me and I said, you got 2.5 minutes to clean me up because I gotta go home and pay bills. And that's the last thing I remembered for 2.5 months. They put me in an induced coma. During that time, I had 2 different types of pneumonia. I had heart failure, and one of the medicines they gave me kidney failure. And during that time, they told my wife that they don't know if I'm gonna make it or not. And she said, I want my kids to see their dad. So she got the kids in there and they looked at me because I was all wrapped up. Only thing they could see was my feet. And that's how my kids knew it was me, because of my feet. My mother and father come down and stayed with me from the time of the accident till the time I went home. They had to do like 4 surgeries in my room because I was too swelled to even go to the operating table. I went through skin grafts. And when I come to, after 2.5 months, one of the nurses, I remember her so well. She come in and she looked at me. And I said, hi. And she started crying. She said, he's talking. After I got out of the hospital, I went back to Leadville and I had to start going through physical therapy. I had to reteach myself to walk. I had to reteach myself to use a fork and a spoon because I couldn't move my arms. It was a very hard process. And a lot of guys that are burned have a very hard time because their wives leave them because they don't want to deal with it. I have a very special wife and 2 very special kids. They stayed beside my side and never left me. And one of the nurses that I was really close with, her boyfriend was a lawyer And she told me, she says, you need to go after these people because what they did was wrong. When I walked into Stuart's office, he took me and my wife and set me down at his table. And I guess he'd done some looking in some books and stuff and went way back. And so Stuart said, we got a case. And at that time, my heart just fell. Stuart was always available. I could call him anytime. And Stuart knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. He's a very, very good lawyer. And he cares. He's compassionate. He cares about what people, and he cares about what he does. Oh, he's one of the most gentlest persons I ever seen. He always, when my wife would come in, he's like, Shauna, how are you today? He'd always ask us, how are you today? How you doing? And hug us. And he's almost like a father to me. He's so close. And if there's anybody that needs a good lawyer, get a hold of Stuart. Let him know your situation. Because if he can help you, he helps. And he's a person that really cares about the situation that you've been in. And he fights, and he fights hard for you.